But still in studio with me are these three gentlemen who are definitely here to advocate for mental health. Still is here with me is Dr. Joshua Orwa, medical doctor. We still have Eli Oenga, the founder of the BU program. He will be telling us a little bit about that. And we still do have Onyango Otieno, aka Rix, who is a mental health advocate. And so, gentlemen, getting back to what I was talking about earlier before we went on a break, I highlighted Jane Mukami's story, her brother who committed suicide, Stephen Mitu. She went out and actually posted something on Facebook and talked about how for the longest they had been trying to get assistance, trying to help her brother, but no one could do anything. And she kind of went on to say that it is us who are at fault. We failed you. Rix, let me throw you in on this one. Is it us? Whose fault is it? Because even listening to what Daktari said, these people don't just wake up and decide this is the day. It has been a recurring issue. So does that mean we're not paying attention?
We've not been paying attention to the simplest things, really. From how parents relate to their children, to how we relate with each other as friends, because one of those contributing factors is all this classism and how we view each other. We put ourselves into clusters. So I mean, my people are just my people, and it contributes to a lot of this social disintegration and separation that makes life very difficult for us. Yes.
Ellie, your thoughts on this in terms of these cries that we have and we are ignoring because we're just thinking, what is Ellie telling me?
Yes, I want to concur with Rix. The problem why people end up committing suicide, and my condolences to the Jane's family and the fine gentleman who they lost. He has been crying out for help. I mean, PTSD is post-traumatic disorder, especially having been in the army. But coming back home, our own children, our own brothers, our own sisters are crying out for help. But they will not tell you directly that, oh, I'm depressed. But it's up to us to take the cues and listen to each other, and more so embrace each other with our frailties. Don't try to make your son a pilot when really he's a footballer. Can you imagine if McDonald Mariga's dad with 3 footballers tried to make all of them pilots? Maybe they will have reacted differently. So let's accept our children as they are. Then the church, I know we think of church as a place to find solace, but today's church is a place of stigma, and so as people look for help, at home it's not there. Home there is competition and being piped to something you're not. And as I said earlier, everywhere people are expected to find solace and acceptance as they are, they find rejection. And once you've been rejected again and time and again, you start having these thoughts, am I worthy of being alive? And that's when the problem starts. But the lucky thing is that the solution also starts there. When parents will finally say, hey, my children are all different. When churches will all say, our members are all different. They have different talents. When our schools will also finally say, this system 844 does not necessarily work for all of us. Are there some kids who are more vocational, who can go on that side, so that everyone finds a space and time? And in my research, Shiko, indulge me a little, you find that countries which are like Asian countries have a huge suicide problem. And if you study Asian countries, they are very academic. You have to, they are drilled. If you come to Kenya, we are also very academic. But the lowest suicide rates in the world are found in the Caribbean. This is my own analogy. They are more laid back.
Their culture is more easygoing.
Actually, Barbados and Antigua, they almost have non-existent.
They're like, what is that?
What is that? Because people are more laid back. Maybe we should find a balance in the middle, in between, where we are not so laid back. We are still pushing and trying to make something, while not being so punitive to those who are not as fast as me.
I know, because look at that. Look at Barbados, look at Japan.
Yes.
World of a difference.
So the slowest and the fastest must meet in the middle without feeling like someone is outrunning me, outpacing me.
Yeah.
You know, whether in family, in school, or wherever that is.
I like that point. Listen to this. According to a World Health Organization 2017 report, Kenya has no vital registration data well enough for the direct estimate of suicide rates due to the lack of proper data on the causes of death. Now, in a study conducted by Mary Bita, a researcher at Kemri Wellcome Trust, the criminalization of suicide and cultural stigma against suicide are the main reasons for the poor state of data on suicide. Doc, your take on this? I mean, we don't have the numbers.
True. Like right now, we have figures that are quoted that probably certain number of 100 people died this year out of suicide. But the truth is, that is an underreporting. If we actually would have had the exact figures, we'll be shocked. And the reason why we underreport is, as stated, we have our systems of registry are not that good.
Yeah.
And then secondly, we have that stigma. In many cultures, if somebody dies by suicide, there are rituals to be done to cleanse that thing.
Imagine, right? Or they're not even fit for a proper burial.
Yeah, or they should be buried in a certain lesser way than people who die out of other causes. And so that stigma is there, and then coupled with the stigma, or as a result of the stigma, you'll find that somebody actually died because of suicide, but then it is reported as an accident or something else. Right,
because nobody wants to come out and say, by the way, my brother or my sister or whoever actually killed themselves. Yeah.
And I would say that when I see a patient at the Bliss Clinic and that patient comes with their family, maybe he had attempted suicide, as a health practitioner, I'm not just seeing this one patient, the entire family are potential patients, but more than that, they're also my co-doctors. Why? Because this person who has attempted suicide or this person who is undergoing depression needs the social support of the family. And in that family where there is someone who's attempted suicide or died by suicide or has depression, studies show that they are also likely to have somebody else doing the same thing. So I look at them as my co-doctors. I should educate them to support the person who's going through this, but also support themselves. And again, they're also potentially at a higher risk of being my future patients of the same.
And you know, by the way, a lot of people have always just, you know, written it off as a curse. When you see 1 or 2 or 3, 4 family members or people from the same family committing suicide, it is just a generational curse. I think that kind of does explain it, you know, from what you've just said, as to why you would see more than one person in one unit.
Actually, there are genetic links to it. I think before we had the science to explain it, we could see the association and conclude it is a curse. But then the science now tells us that the genetic links to depression and that kind of mental illness, so that in one family where somebody has major depressive disorder, the other family members are at 3 times more risk of getting the same depressive disorder.
Very interesting. Speaking about coping mechanisms, Rix has a very unique story to share with us. He was using sex as a way to cope with his depression. Take a look at this clip.
I'm also known as Rix Poet. I'm an artist and a gender-based violence activist. I'm also a mental health advocate. I've gone through depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's a thing I'm still dealing with in my life. So I learn as I teach. I thought I'd get cured by having a lot of sex. That wasn't it. I thought I'd get cured by working too much. That wasn't it.
Place he comes to run away from reality, uprooting the now scentless flowers that slowly wither in the gardens within you.
All right, that is Rix Poet there, and of course you can actually catch that particular clip on YouTube by just searching his name. But Rix, number one, have you been suicidal?
Yes.
How many times did you attempt?
Twice.
What did you decide to do?
What do you mean, what did I decide to do?
What, because you said twice, how?
Yeah.
What did you decide to do?
The first time I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
I ran away from home. This was third time the same year, 2004. And I just knew I wanted to die. So I stole my dad's ATM and I went to Mombasa. And I said, I want to die somewhere nobody knows me. And so I didn't have a particular plan, but I just remember giving up my spirit and just saying, I'm done. I'm done.
So you didn't have a plan, but you just said, I'll figure it out when I get there.
If I'm going to die in the ocean, if a car is going to hit me, something like that, I'm ready to go. I was gone, you know. And
for the second time, what did you decide
second
to do
time, I remember it was in 2017. This is when my work began. I was coming off a toxic relationship and I didn't have a job at that time, and I think my childhood trauma was still on my case because I hadn't healed that trauma. And so it was really heavy on me. So I remember coming back home this day and taking a 2-hour-long shower, asking myself, do I die in this bathroom? You know, because it's too much. It was actually too much. So as it's been for me, writing has been that thing that helps me get out. And so I remember really pushing my body to get out of the shower. It was one of the hardest things. Because that time your head is really heavy. You're really, really heavy. And I left the water running just to get out to my laptop with my wet hands. And I got to Facebook and I just wrote a story that today I don't feel okay, today I feel depressed, and I'm overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. Wow.
And that changed everything.
Because you started to write and you started to express yourself. And that was your journey to recovery. How did you end up on this journey of using sex as a way to cope?
That started in my earlier age, from around 20 actually. You know, I grew up, you know, my home was really intense. It was intense. I didn't have space to be who I am, like Ellie is saying. And so I remember after my Form 4, I went to Uganda for my Form 5 and 6, and it was the first time I was away from home for the first time, you know. So there's no dad around to tell me, oh, so who are you hanging out with, and blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, I just started experimenting. And in the beginning, you think you're experimenting. And then year 1, year 2, year 3, you're actually deep into it, and you're
and when you talk about, you know, just hooking up, give me numbers here. Like literally, you were just moving from one person to the next, to the next, to the next.
Honestly, I don't have the numbers. There were many.
There were that many.
Yeah, because there's a way your brain, when you're in that point, like when you're in that mental shift, your brain sort of dissociates with it, with your reality. You know, you sort of block things. So you don't even remember some people you were with. You don't keep those numbers because that's not what you're looking for. You're trying to heal yourself, but you don't know it.
So you have a trail of people, some who are heartbroken, you could care less.
Some I know.
Some you know.
Wow. I mean, at a point I started getting a bit more conscious with what's within me, because I knew I was in pain. For sure. All
right, just hold that thought for a second, because Faith is on the line. Good morning, Faith. Yes, Faith, go ahead, speak up, please.
Okay, good morning, speaker.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Faith from Nairobi.
Yes, Faith.
I've attempted suicide twice. And I think I need help, but I've not been able to get someone to give me help. I have 2 kids. And I think it's affecting me, and I'm not happy. I feel like I'm passing on, or I'm relieving my stress on my kids. So I'm asking, where can I get some help?
All right, Faith, what we're going to ask you to do, thank you for calling in, and just stay on the line. Don't hang up, because we're going to get your contact details and pass those over to our panelists here, okay? In specific, our doctor who's on set, okay? So please don't hang up. Allow us, and at least allow our team to get your details. All right, thank you. All right, wow, Faith being brave enough, she's attempted twice and she even has 2 kids. This is what we're talking about, Ellie, isn't it? That people are saying, I need help, and instead of brushing her off, we need to do something. But a question just actually popped up on social media, Doc, for you, that if someone does attempt suicide once, is it more likely that they will probably do it 3 times, 4 times over and over again? I don't know, in your opinion.
It is. Actually, a history of attempted suicide is #1 predictor of a repeat attempt. So most people who have died by suicide will have a history of having attempted it unsuccessfully before.
Okay.
So anyone who has attempted suicide is at a high risk of actually doing it again at a later date.
Okay. All right. I hope that's actually clear, because you did mention it before, but it has popped up again. So in the case of even Faith, this needs to be dealt with ASAP, because if you're saying that someone actually does have a history, she could attempt it again. All right. So we're going to actually get a hold of Faith. Hopefully, Faith, if you are still there, or if you can even call us back, why don't you, so that we can actually put you in touch with Dr. Joshua Tafadhali. That being said, moving back to what we are talking about, starting from the ground, our homes, what we know, the people who are around us, Ellie, why it's important for it to start at home, because that's what the BU campaign is all about.
Yes, the home is a place of safety. It's a place where you can itch what itches. And to find that you're unable to do that is a big, big problem. So the sooner we make our home safe, the better. And I thank someone like Faith for speaking up. And this is why the conversion rates for suicide are much less in women than men. To find a man like Double O talking about it is a very rare scenario, but I'm happy people like Eddie Kimani are coming on board to talk about Danish, Ricks. More men need to speak up about this mental health situation. So women are more likely to speak up. That's why only 2 countries like Lesotho and China, and very few more, have higher rates of suicide in female than males. Usually the male number far outweighs the female number. And why is the male gender more likely to commit suicide? You see, like for instance, he said he was jobless when he felt very low. Society has heaped pressure on the man to be the man, to act like a man, to provide like a man. In South Korea, the much elderly people commit suicide, because the men especially, because they feel like a burden. You know, they don't want to feel like a burden. So the elderly rates in South Korea are very high. And the jobless in Japan, the moment you lose your job in Japan, the most honorable thing to do as a man is to commit suicide. You know, so they even have,
ease the burden of your family.
Ease the burden of your family. They even have a forest in Mount Fuji, where, you know, that forest below there is a suicide hotspot. So for most men who lose a job, instead of being dishonorable, you go that way and commit suicide. In South Korea, there is a bridge of death. So the man, you know, put in that context, the pressure to provide and look like you're providing. And then there's your friend on Facebook who's just posted a new Mercedes, a new house, and you start this comparative analysis. And that's why BU is a very effective campaign. Take off the masks. So we have these masks that we put on to show that we are doing well, that we are earning well, that we are eating well, that we are exercising well. Put off the mask. Finally face yourself and accept who you are. And that's a very good place to begin.
Ellie, very quickly, this campaign is currently in a number of institutions. For those who do feel that, okay, I really do want to be part of this, to know more and to take off that mask, then how are they going to access this?
The BU campaign, we are on all forums, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Find us. And on the 10th of October, we'll be having a forum in Arboretum. We try to get very safe spaces where we come and listen to each other. We held a very nice campaign at KU. And former students, she had done her pharmacy 3 times and failed, and eventually she finished. She's now working, but she was very suicidal. We've had a lady who's talked about she almost drove into a truck. So we get to listen to each other. And the moment you start speaking about mental health, it loses the power and the grip it has on you. Very unlikely that someone who's confessed their lowest moment will repeat that, because now they start overcoming that stigma and they become an authority and they have power.
All right. And for you, Rix, I want you to give a word of encouragement to the young people who are watching this morning, because you're the face on this set. What do you have to say?
Speak up. Speak up. This is your life. Don't keep quiet when things are unfair. Stand up for justice, because I really believe social justice is one of those ways which structurally and sustainably we can battle mental health conditions. Let us advocate for proper laws and policies in government. Let us be each other's keepers. Let us go back to Ubuntu, togetherness, unity.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Dr. Joshua Ora. I know you mentioned you're from the Bliss Clinic.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll definitely put you in touch in case you actually do want to talk to Dr. Joshua. If it's a matter of urgency, please get in touch with us so that we can put you in touch with him. Of course, the BU campaign still running. You can check them out on social media. Thank you so much, Ellie Oenga, for speaking to us. And of course, Double O, aka Rix, the mental health advocate, in studio with us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for that. So we've been asking you that question: what exactly would you do to actually help someone with suicidal thoughts? Why don't you share with us your thoughts? And of course, Jeff is here with me as we wind down this particular conversation in regards to suicide prevention. Jeff?
Yes, absolutely. Have lots of tweets on this as well. And even as we look at the tweets, let's start with Maureen Shiro. It's for us as a family, friend, society to know each other's behaviors, so that when there are behavior changes, we are able to help each other by talking, listening to them, and be patient with them so that they can express themselves as well. So as a family, as a friend, like we said at the beginning of the show, did you really ask them how are you and actually cared?
It's true.
You know, to listen to what they had to say. Wairimo raps, it breaks my heart that more men die. The biggest issue is that men have been taught not to be soft. This whole mad idea that a man should have it together, quote unquote, and not share emotions, not cry, is not right as far as that is concerned. And they have no one to turn to. And that's an issue that has also been addressed. Sam the Stallion, by listening to him or her, then give advice according to the issue. That's what Sam thinks. Of course, all of these having the same theme of you need to listen, actually listen to what they're saying. Mary Wairimo, I once struggled with suicidal thoughts and ideations. I meditated on them for so long that I knew how I wanted to die back then. I would tell any of my friends who cared to listen to what I went through as well, so as not to go through the same issue that she went through.
Very important.
And lastly, Alfred Mbai. There is so much pressure to conform to and be what we are not. The sooner we realize that only me can be me, the sooner we start living a stress-free life.
Right. Be you. That's exactly what we're saying.
And I like that campaign because, like they said, at the end of the day, you're busy here trying to hold it together. You go online, you meet a friend from back in school. Their car is a KCQ worth 15 million. Wow. You're looking for fare to go home. And therein, it all starts. Just be you, live your life. And of course, as a friend, even if you're not the one going through it, listen. Find out how your family is, how your friends are. They usually say the strongest and the funniest are the ones who are having so many issues and you don't know.
I mean, look at actors like Robbie Williams. And I think as we wind up, the challenge for you today, go and ask someone at the office, at home, how are you? Not how are you, but how are you?
Fantastic stuff. We'll leave it on that note. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early right here on the show. The Daily Brief up next. This is K24 This Morning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.